Happy New Year, everyone. Today I will be showing you what I made for New Year's Eve dinner and how I spent my last few hours for December 31st, 2025, cooking soup, which is fideo, my version of beef and pork barbacoa, some chicken nuggets, and the salsa to make the consomme, which is the broth for the meat. So right now I was just, I did start boiling the meat, which I did not put that in the video. I used pork ribs, they're called trozos de puerco, and some beef chunks. It was about 3.5 pounds of meat. I did put them in the pot together. I used a whole onion to boil the meat. I added some a whole bushel of the garlic and some oregano, some clove, some bay leaves, a whole bushel of cilantro. I added some rosemary and some chiles. Two of them were the serranos, which I just showed right there in the video. I added about 5 or 6 chiles guajillos. I did take out the seeds of the guajillos, not because of the spice, but I don't like when you're eating the broth or even in the meat and you have the seeds. It feels uncomfortable, and it's actually like hurt my throat before, and it's happened to others around me. So it has nothing to do with the spice. If you have a blender that can blend the seeds, I would say go ahead and leave it because it does add an extra spice. But if you don't, it's up to you if you want to do it. That's something that I just like to do, and it's my preference. Just to keep the salsa more smooth. All the ingredients that I used for the seasoning were dry, and of course salt and pepper. The freshest thing was the cilantro, the onion, and the garlic. Since I am using the beef and the pork, I think it's good to have all that onion and garlic in there because you're boiling it and it absorbs a lot of the flavor. You're gonna let it sit there for a while. Usually this should be boiling between 5 and 6 hours, like on medium heat, but it was something that my partner wanted me to make last minute. So this morning we rushed to the store to get everything, and I cooked in about 3 hours, which actually turned out really well. I just did not make that much broth because I wanted it to actually like boil and sit there. Oh, those 2 chilies, I actually used those 2, the spicy chilies. I only put 2 in there, but those I did leave the seeds since they were smaller. Those are not very spicy if you don't put a lot of them. Sometimes it's a hit and miss. I've had some that are very, very spicy and then some that are not. Like I said, as you can see, I'm just going to clean out the seeds, and I just have like a bag next to me trying to do that. But like I was saying, usually this takes longer to boil. Now, like I mentioned, this is my version of the barbacoa. I know in other regions they use just beef or they use lamb, goat. This is how I just made it to just try to get that quickly. And it came out really good. It was pretty delicious. I didn't put exactly the measurements on the video or anything. I just kind of went through it to show you what I did. And later on in the video you will see that I added some of the salsa that I had left over from my tamales. And it was just that's probably about 1.5 cups in that small container. And that's everything that I put in there together. The meat was boiling like that for about 2.5 hours. And then for the last 30 minutes, I blended everything together, and I'll show you that as well. Now, while that was boiling and just doing its thing, I did have it on very high heat, and I just kept checking it. The pot was large that I used, so it wasn't boiling over, thankfully. I did make some fideo. I just used 2 large tomatoes, salt and pepper. I boiled the tomatoes until the skin is falling off. I added a small chunk of onion, only 1 piece of garlic, and of course, like I said, salt and pepper to taste. Once it cooled down a little bit, I just started blending everything. While I was doing that, I started heating up my pan where I was going to make my fideo, and I actually because I got excited because someone stopped by and they brought me a little Christmas gift, which is my Patrick right there that you'll see. We were listening to some Charlie Brown in the background. But yeah, so there's the soup. Finally, after I fixed some of the oil, I had to stop what I was doing to throw out the burnt oil. You'll see some of the marks at the bottom, and some of the fideo little wrinkles got a little more burner than I usually like, but it's okay. There was no burnt flavor. Everything turned good. I toast it until it gets brown. Once it's toasted, I add the tomato. Very low when I do this because the tomato gets really hot and splashes everywhere. So if you do decide to do this, just be careful. I also go ahead and save some of the tomato water, so the water where I boil the tomato, and I use it just to get like the last crumbs. This usually is, if you like it more water and more thick. Sometimes I like it water, sometimes I like it thick. This one, she came a little thicker once it set in, because I did like the flavor of the tomato, so we enjoyed it that way. That was all the spices. So once everything boiled, I pulled everything out, like all the chiles, the onions, the garlic, and there it is, jalapenos. I put them in the blender and blend everything in. That way I can go ahead and add it to the broth. And that boiled for like the last 30 minutes. Now once I added this, the broth had gone down, and you can see the pot was like probably double of that of the water when we first started, but as it boils down, but which is good when you want all the juices and everything. Once that boiled, I took out the meat and I started shredding everything because we were gonna make tacos fritos with some cheese. That's queso Oaxaca that I got at one of my local stores. I went ahead and dipped the tortillas in the broth, just added the cheese, and then of course the shredded meat. I already had my pan heated up to get the oil hot and get them frying. Okay. That you have to be careful when you dip them. I don't dip them very long because then the tortilla starts falling apart. So I don't want it to break. It did happen to one of them because I let it sit for just a few seconds too long. I don't deep fry the tortilla like all the way through, so I have to be more careful. Usually when you deep fry with more oil, it will be easier, but I kind of keep the oil, as you can see, minimal to the bottom. The oil that I used was olive oil, but it's the light olive oil. It doesn't change the taste or anything. We're just using olive oil because that's what we use in my household. Then just a small picture of my chicken nuggets that my mom used to make me. Now I make them for my son. That's our little table with our food set up. That's the consomme. That is some cilantro, some onion, and our drinks. And it was good for dipping. And of course, to finish off in our New Year's Stranger Things 5. Thank you.